Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I think I've done a video on this before, but I've gotten my TikTok and Instagram banned like 3 times each. And I can't remember when and if I did it on a YouTube video, but I'm gonna make this point by itself in this video. If I'm in court and I'm defending a contempt, or no, if I'm doing a contempt against a mother for visitation violations, and they're trying to say, well, I actually had a guy, the judge was saying, well, that's a while back, we're going to move forward. I would always flip it back on the court because they care about money. I would always flip it back on the court. Oh, so if I go a few months without paying child support and she waits like 3 or 4 months to file, are you just going to waive that and say, well, that was a while ago, let's just move forward? I know you wouldn't do that, Your Honor, so why are you doing it with something a million times more important than money? She's depriving the child of love and affection and intimacy and security and stability with the other parent. You're telling me either you would just waive child support contempt because it's in the past. First of all, that's a stupid point. Like, oh, when you press criminal charges against somebody you didn't get evidence for 2 years, you press charges for them for murder or assault or whatever, you finally found some surveillance video or whatever, nobody ever says, well, that was in the past. You got to jump on these guys with their asinine arguments and do it quickly. When they see, if you understand, one of the problems a lot of you guys have is you don't grasp your fundamental rights. I have guys who study their fundamental rights, the basics, the science, and they tell me a clever argument that they came up with off the top of their head in the middle of a hearing, because if you understand your rights or the rules or the law and what's just, doesn't matter how somebody comes at you. A lot of you guys, you just want to know, James, what should I say for this exact claim? And you don't grasp the understanding of how that works or the why. All you're trying to do is just regurgitate something and you don't want to absorb it or understand it. It's kind of like if you had a spark plug problem in your car and you just replace the spark plugs, or let's say the oil, my mother had a car that was doing this, the oil wouldn't settle back down after the car was shut off, so it was still stuck up in the chambers or whatever the channels are to distribute it. I'm not going to pretend to be a mechanic or anything, but so that oil would burn off when it gets started up next time, so it would lose oil quickly. So if you just go in there and say, oh, I got to add oil, instead of like figuring out like all the other parts that go with it. See, anytime you want to understand something, you want to understand all the working parts. If you are a running back and all you know is I'm going to run the ball right here, but you don't understand defensive schemes and reading, oh, that hole is clogged up, I need to bounce it outside. If you don't understand the goal and the whole mechanism of how the team works, some things need to be adjusted or whatever. Some of you guys, you only want the quickie fix answer right now. But if you understand the court's strong policy on wanting money for child support, and you understand that relationships and love are a million times more important than money, then you could use logic and say, wait, you guys enforce child support all the time. You throw dads in jail all the time. This is 100 times more important than the child support. So flip it on them with an example that they would use, if they say, you can't come to ex parte here and get an emergency order giving you custody unless I have evidence that the child is being stabbed or killed. Okay, so if a mother comes in here and says she's a victim of domestic violence, you won't give her custody because you need pictures of the child being stabbed or killed. Okay, gotcha. They'll say, whoa, wait a minute, we do that all the time. See, you catch them in their bullcrap and their hypocrisy and their bias. But nobody ever checks them, so they keep doing this stuff. See, this is my biggest problem with men and fathers' rights groups and attorneys. And you not lighting a fire under your attorney, and you being afraid of your attorney, and you not acting like you're the boss of your attorney. People need to repeatedly go in there and change the minds of these judges from what they are used to always doing. The Jim Crow South was always used to shafting black people because they hated black people. We threw Japanese U.S. citizens in internment camps, concentration camps, because we were paranoid every Japanese citizen was a spy in World War II. So our emotions were stirred up, so we reacted accordingly. The judge's emotions get stirred up when you don't pass money over to the mother, because we're brainwashed to think all these mothers are broke and they can't handle it and all this other stuff. When the real answer to that is just give custody to the dad. He makes more money. He can provide for the child better and do a better job, because financial support is one aspect of supporting a child. But if you just do the easy task, it just takes a little bit of balls, but all you guys that are paranoid, shaking in your boots, showing your thong, saying, oh my God, I'm scared to tell the judge what my rights are. I'm scared to call the judge out on their hypocrisy. I'm scared to tell the judge what the law says. I told my judge that he hated me, and him and my baby's mom's attorney were tag teaming me. Now, my judge hated me after I got him reversed in the Court of Appeals in 2012. So for the next 7 to 8 years that we were in and out of court, he was just ruling against me. And I said, I finally figured out what your problem is. You're mad at me because I date pretty women and you both have hideously ugly wives. So you're jealous of me. I said that in a court brief before we had a contempt hearing. Now, you don't have to go that far, but I didn't go to jail because of it. The judge just said, oh, James is mocking our wives, and then he moved on to the next thing. And you're afraid to talk about the law in a court of the law to a judge who swore to uphold the law and has a law degree himself? That's like saying you're afraid to punch somebody in a boxing match or hit somebody in a football game. I would go in every time that they let the mother off or think it's no big deal or give them a slap on the wrist. Your Honor, would you give me a slap on the wrist if I'd stop paying child support the next 3 or 4 months? She withheld the child from me for 3 or 4 months. If I stop paying child support, are you going to go lightly on me also? Or do you only care about money up in this courtroom? And my love and affection for that child is going to affect that child the rest of their life. If they don't get a toy or a certain pair of pants or whatever, they don't care about that as much as they do about being deprived of a father. You should be quick to want to use jail time on contempt for depriving the child of the most important thing in life outside of food, water, and air. See, when you understand the hierarchy of when you actually have some self-confidence in who you are and you're not a bitch-made coward saying, oh, I'm just a slave walking into the courtroom and I have to bow down to master and I have to worship the judge and all this stuff. You have respect for the judge and the judge's position, yeah. But you got to do all that where you're afraid to say anything in court? I guess you could even say it nicely. Say, Your Honor, this court wouldn't let it, like you can even turn it around and say, Your Honor, I know if I stop paying child support for 3 or 4 months, I deserve to get found in contempt, ordered to pay pay the past due, make up for the money lost, and you could threaten to throw me in jail to make me comply. You should take the love and affection of a father to a child 100 times even more seriously than you do child support in that scenario. So you can even do it nicely. If you're a pussy coward and you don't like James's tone, then do it nicely. But most people who are pussy coward won't even bring up this stuff at all. And I'm sitting here telling people answers for life. It's answers to deal with the life of your kid. Or getting access to your kid back. You don't want to listen to me? Fine. That's your freaking stupid ass problem. I mean, you can take in what I say, take in the meat, spit out the bones. I'm not perfect. I don't get anything 100% right. But everything I tell you guys is stuff that I've seen work in court and stuff that you can look up yourself in the law. And stuff that's worked for thousands of other guys. All of my haters, you know what they do? They lie about me. They lie about my case. I'm going to do a video on a father's rights guy advocate who's a total hater and he's running around slandering me. And he's not even close to even remotely talking about the truth about me and my case. And they don't have any track record of winning anything. I've won. I show you my winning court orders. Those of you who spent $10,000, $20,000 on an attorney, did you ask your attorney how often they won or show proof of it? No, you didn't. So why wouldn't you at least believe me?